This was personal money. This wasn't trying to hide. This was 7 years ago, statute of limitation. And I think in your heart of hearts, you know, too, that you think this is just political. And I think that's what the rest of the country thinks. And we're kind of tired of that.
Yeah, I'm tired of the illegality more so than the investigations, but sure, I'm tired of the whole thing. I would love to move on from this. Kevin McCarthy, you are one of the people stopping us from being able to do this because you keep defending Donald Trump as you are in that clip. He was only talking for maybe 10 seconds, but he made like 4 separate claims. All of them are nonsense. So really fast, he says it's personal money. Okay, does that make it better? You realize that spending personal money can be a violation of campaign finance laws. I don't even understand what point he thinks he's making there. There was no attempt to hide it, is one of the most blatant falsehoods that I've ever heard a person in politics literally say. There's no attempt to hide it, no attempt, none at all. Michael Cohen took out a home equity loan to pay off another man's affair hush money. And then months later, Donald Trump began a series of like sub payments to conceal the total amount that is being transferred to his political goon. There was no attempt to hide it. I feel like that's kind of an attempt to hide it at that point, having someone else pay for it. The fact that it's against the statute of limitations, I will leave that up to the jury or the judge to figure out. Again, that might be enough, good cause to not be able to get him on this. But the fact that it wouldn't bother you because it's outside the statute of limitations, it was just a few years ago. If it was a violation of campaign finance laws and it was Biden, I have a feeling you would still experience a little bit of, even if delayed, moral outrage. But he's ready to move on. Then saying it's just political. Well, is it political? Well, it's about a politician. And we are in a time of politicians committing a lot of really obvious corrupt acts. And I am sick of the corruption, but you cannot simply say, people are sick of these investigations as you then put down the mic and go back to sharing, I don't even know how many investigations of Joe Biden and his family and everything they've ever done. So there's a little bit of inconsistency there, Yasmin. What do you think about the arguments?
Well, you mentioned the investigations into Joe Biden and his family. Even Geraldo Rivera on Fox News is like, enough with the Hunter Biden stuff. It's not a thing, and the politicization of this, or the alleged politicization, I'll say, right? It's kind of a moot point because this isn't the Democrats prosecuting Donald Trump, right? This is happening in the Manhattan DA's office. This is happening in the state of Georgia. This is not the Democrats, they're not involved, and the Republicans aren't involved either, right? So all of their claims about they don't have the evidence, blah, 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 they don't know. They weren't there in the courtroom. They don't have access to those things. They weren't listening to the trial. They didn't hear any of that. A lot of it hasn't been made public yet. So they're speaking about things that they don't really understand, and they shouldn't. What they're doing right now is just trying to keep their base, right? And they want to also keep their base ignorant to a lot of things. So if they say things like some of the things that you just mentioned, like it's outside of the statute of limitations, they made no efforts to hide this information, they can say those things in an effort to trick their base, because their base is just gonna hear that and say, yeah, well, I guess he didn't make any efforts, even though Michael Cohen literally served time in jail for this. Yeah. It's like, how do you forget about that?
It is very convenient to forget that the idea, like, does it make sense for him to serve time for it? Probably. I mean, I feel like he knew that he was evading the law, and it was every bit of this was obviously done to impact an election. They were hiding extremely damaging personal information about a candidate, using money that has a campaign purpose to make it so that people don't find out about this. And again, add this to the pile of things that, isn't it weird that no Trump voter cares that they tried to hide this from him? That they had so little respect for his potential voters that they tried to make sure that they never found out about this scandal. The sort of scandal where if it was about any other politician, obviously they would have a major problem with it. But I agree with you, Yasmin. This is not the Democrats going after them. This is a particular DA. And you could say that he's wrong. You could say that he's biased. But if you're saying that at the same time that the House Republicans are literally in a partisan fashion investigating all of this nonsense and also calling for Biden to be impeached and all of them to be locked up, then there's a little bit of inconsistency there. You could say, like, there would be a little bit of moral grounding to their arguments if they were to say something like, you know what, it deeply bothers me that Donald Trump engaged in this sort of affair, that he tried to hide it from the American people. I feel like people have the right to know, what is going on with their politicians, but it kind of seems like this novel legal thing is probably not gonna get him, so it's personally distressing, but probably not legally. But they don't do any of that. They wanna have it all. They wanna experience every bit of it. They don't think that he should be investigated for this stuff. And also, they will never, ever, for a microsecond, engage intellectually with what it means that he did all of this stuff that he did. And if they would at least pretend to care about it, then there would be much less obvious hypocrisy when it comes to their never-ending quest to get Hunter Biden over his laptop or whatever. But they don't do that.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.